Assalamualaikum, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about my 1 month update on my journey to reduce my screen time. So I made a video recently talking about how I really wanted to decrease my screen time because it was extremely excessive. While screen time usage has gone up over the last couple of years with the ease of access to smartphones and having the world at your fingertips with really specialized apps that keep you scrolling and keep you on your phone, I realized that I had a huge problem because I was not balancing my screen time and I was just spending every waking moment on my phone whenever I had a chance. And that is why I had as much as like 9 hours almost of screen time per day per week. And I think that is as bad as it went, but honestly, I mentioned in my previous video when I talked about me starting this journey and giving a 2-week update, the problem I was facing was the fact that it was just so normalized for me that, and like even when I wasn't on my phone, and because this is the screen time that was specifically for my phone, I was finding that I still had to work like 8 hours a day. I still had things I would do not just on my phone but on my iPad or on my laptop, and so I found like I was using my phone too much. And this is my 1 month update on my journey to reduce my screen time and to see how far I've come. I mentioned in my previous video that I had a lot of opportunity cost as a result of me mindlessly scrolling on my phone for so many hours every single day, and some of those things that I mentioned was like it was affecting my health, mental health, my vision health, and my ability to get a good night's rest because I would be scrolling late into the night or first thing in the morning, to be honest. Other issues that I was having was the fact that I was feeling very unsatisfied at the end of the day, and also I felt like I was just not just feeling unsatisfied but not getting things done throughout the day and had so many uncompleted or incompleted tasks constantly. So if you're also struggling with your screen time and have kind of like a phone addiction, check out my video over here if you want to see what I was doing, because it wasn't the typical things that I think most people suggest when it comes to trying to reduce your screen time and distractions from your phone, because those things I had tried and weren't necessarily working for me, so I had to make things different or do things differently. So let's talk about where I'm at right now with my screen time usage. So over the last 4 weeks, I'll share some images over here on how I've been doing. I've been ranging from about 2.5 hours to as high as just under 4 hours of screen time every single week, and this is a huge improvement from my worst screen time weeks, which was close to 9 hours. So we're looking at 50 to like, what would that be, like 70% reduction in screen time, and I'm very satisfied with this because I proved to myself that I can control, like I have some discipline if I just work on it and pay attention to what I'm doing. Everything I did in my previous video that I mentioned has helped tremendously with like reducing my screen time, but I did one thing new and different that has, I think, encouraged me to spend less time on my phone, and that is reducing or changing the like view of my phone. I made it a black and white phone. If you're on an iPhone, you can change this by going into your accessibility settings. I should actually, let's see if I can figure this out because I don't really remember how I did it. So okay, so this is what my phone looks like, and what I do, so you can see that, can you see? I think you can see. You can see, right? So it's black and white, and then I put a shortcut so that sometimes I need color on my screen and I don't want to go through the hassle and then just let go of this habit or this technique, I guess. So now I have color mode on, and if I just press the button 3 times quickly, now it's in black and white. So you just go into accessibility settings, and let me just figure this out right now. Yes, I figured it out. So I go under the accessibility settings on my phone, and then I click on display and text size, and then I click on color filters. And what I changed it to was the grayscale. So if I were to turn it off, it'll bring back the colors, and if I keep it on, which is what I like to do, I am able to change everything into black and white or gray. And what this does is it's less stimulating for me, and I have noticed that like I find myself bored of looking at my phone a lot faster because it's not as visually appealing. And then in order to be able to switch back between color and grayscale as I need to sometimes, I just set up an accessibility shortcut and I clicked on color filters, and I made it so like there's an option for what you want a triple click on the side button to do, and I clicked color filters, and so it changes back to normal. I believe that's how that all works. And I set it up because I happen to be watching a video about someone reducing, I think, their screen time. I'll have to try and find that video because it was very short and sweet from what I recall, and it was really easy to follow along. But yeah, you just have to go into your accessibility settings, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't have an Android phone anymore. And so I'm not sure how it works on Android. By doing this simple task of changing my phone into a phone that can change into grayscale and back to color scale as I need to, it made it so much easier for me to just find my phone really like unattractive to use. And I will admit, sometimes forget, and I've switched back to color mode, and what I do is like as soon as I remember, I'll just change it back unless I need it for a specific task. But yeah, like if I find that I was able to reduce my screen time further just because of me making this one change. Now, it's only been a couple of weeks. I would say it's been just over a month at this point of me trying to actively reduce my screen time. And you might be wondering, or I might be wondering, why am I still addicted to my phone? And I would say the answer to that question is yes. And the reason is because I found myself like I needed to download Instagram to post, like that I was posting a new video, or to message or respond to someone that I'm in touch with primarily through Instagram. And I found what I did was I downloaded it and then I used it and then I deleted it. And then I found that every time I was posting, like I needed to have access to Instagram, but I was really scared to put it back on my phone because I know myself, I know I will just start scrolling again. However, I currently have it on my like work phone because I never use my work phone, or almost never use my work phone for social media. And so I was like, okay, I'm less likely to access my social media from that phone because for the most part I just don't like to do that. And so I have it there because I needed to regularly post that I'm posting something or whatever, but it felt too much of a hassle to have to download and then undownload. And I tried to use the desktop version, but the desktop version is also really tedious to the point that I just rather not post anything at all, which is great if you're trying to reduce your screen time or your use of social media, but I do need it a little bit so that I can share with people that I'm posting something on YouTube, or just to like check up on friends or respond to messages that I rarely get but might get. And so like I just felt like this was a great solution temporarily until I can figure out something that works better for me. So that's all well and good, but going back to the fact that now I have an average of under 4 hours of screen time on my phone, I think it's a good idea to see like where have I been using my screen time or my free time that I have now that I have essentially 4 hours on average away from my phone. So the first thing is that I'm definitely watching a lot more long form content on YouTube, but like on my iPad or on my laptop, and just listening to stuff which I think is still better than what I was doing before, which was just constantly being on my phone or listening to stuff on my phone. And the idea is that I'm just like further away from the screen, but I'm still getting screen time at the end of the day. One thing I have done that helps is like I'll try to do something like going for a walk and like on my treadmill, and I'll have my iPad there so I can watch what I'm listening to, but I don't have like something staring directly into my face and I'm doing something productive. And I find that that's a little bit like, I think that's an improvement from what I was doing before. The other thing that I've been doing is I've been trying to pay attention more to the news and trying to understand and just be more immersed in this world that we're in, instead of just watching mindless content, which sometimes I think about the fact that I've been probably basically doing that for at least the last 4 years consistently, like to an excessive amount. And if anything, like I have been doing that for the last 10-15 years if you think about it, but maybe not on my phone, but I've been like mindlessly consuming, and I haven't been like really in control of what I'm consuming. And so that makes me kind of sad, but I feel like this is a step in the right direction because now I have more time to do that or learn about things that I'm really curious about, or just to like explore history or what's happening in the world. So even though my screen time on my phone has gone down, my screen time with my iPad has definitely gone up. And so I do think like it kind of balances out, and it's like, okay, well, are you reducing your screen time at all, really? And I think I would say that overall there's still a reduction in my screen time because I have forced myself. There are certain things I primarily use my iPad basically just to watch things, even though initially when I bought it I had other plans for it. But I'm okay with that usage because I feel like I'm getting the most out of my iPad. I'm satisfied with it. It's a bigger screen and it's nicer to watch on. But I don't use all of my time on my iPad either, the time that is freed up. I also find myself like writing things down more and doing things that are not like digitally. Like I find myself doing less things digitally, which I never thought I would do that because it just seems more efficient to do things that way. But I'm finding that I'm just really enjoying having like no access to a screen sometimes and just sitting down and like just writing notes. It's like really, it feels great. And the thing I've found is like I normally, when I like make YouTube videos, I will like make some notes about what I want to talk about, and I will try to either research on the topic or just really like flesh out what I want to say, because sometimes I have like difficulty communicating in an eloquent way what I want to say. But and like I was doing like such a great job. I was writing like really detailed notes and stuff like that on my like Notion or OneNote, or just even like sometimes just on a plain Word document back in the day. And the thing is that like I just found that I was able to better recall what structure I wanted with how I'm saying things when I wrote things down. So even though I still do use digital format, I found that every single time that I wrote things down on paper, like it just stuck better. And like if anything, like if I show you guys, like I was making notes for this video and I found that like I just scribbled a bunch of things, and then I was like, okay, this, I need something like a little bit more structured. And I was like, do I want to go back and write in digital format so I can move things around more easily? But I ended up just writing things out again in like better handwriting and like more patience on my phone or on my notebook. And I found that that was really helpful because basically it just helps me think about my thoughts better. And when you're writing down things, like you can't just rearrange things, right? When you're physically writing it down, you have to think about it a little bit more before you write it down, or you just have to like accommodate for yourself and anticipate what mistakes you might make, or like it just helps you think a little bit more deeply before you do something. And I find that really helpful. Like I feel like I am more attentive and I'm paying attention and understanding things a little bit more deeply, and like I don't have like a measurement to assess for that, but I do feel like I felt like more relaxed, and I honestly felt like I was able to write down the things that I want to say in a shorter period of time than what it would typically take me. So yeah, I feel like it's been great actually. The biggest benefit I've had when it comes to reducing my screen time and having those 4 hours that are a little bit more flexible and not all of them are used for screen time on my iPad or something else is the fact that I feel a little bit less rushed and a little bit more on time when it comes to my salah and my namaz, because I constantly before felt like I was feeling like it was such a hassle, and I felt like, oh my god, I don't have time. But I had time. I was just on my phone, and like there's something about like using my phone that it would feel like I can't let go of this thing and it's the end of the world if I don't just keep watching or reading whatever I'm doing on my phone. And I just feel so much more free, and it's so exciting. And I have definitely seen that I'm able to like there's a smaller barrier to getting myself up and going to pray, and that has been probably the biggest benefit I've had so far when it comes to reducing my screen time. For the 4 hours that I still spend on my phone, or up to 4 hours, the thing I'm finding myself spending my time with is looking things up, reading articles, or watching videos still, but not as often. And one thing that I do is I do use my phone to record, so I find that my screen time is also like somewhat artificially inflated because I spend a lot of time recording or transferring files back and forth, and so the screen is on, so I think it captures that. So in theory, I like to tell myself that I have slightly less screen time than what is being shown, but the reality is I still have a pretty high screen time. So I want to, moving forward in the next month or so, continue to reduce my screen time. And I think it is really possible because I feel like this past month and a half was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out what works for me and just putting in a lot of effort into staying away from my phone. And I think it's a little bit easier for me to do now. So I think moving forward, I'm anticipating that I can get to my target, which is to have under 2 hours of screen time throughout the day. I don't think I'll beat myself up if I don't have or reach that specific goal, as long as I'm improving and I'm using my phone for things that matter. Like if my screen time is really high because I'm like having phone calls with my family or friends, like that's fine. I don't mind that. But that was not the case when I was having close to 9 hours of screen time. And so I obviously think that there's a cap to how much you can reduce your screen time if you're going to actually use your phone for anything at all. But I think moving forward, I can reasonably get down to under 2 hours of screen time. For now, I want to just maintain where I'm at and improve incrementally. But hopefully by the end of this year, in a couple of weeks, I'll have seen another improvement. So we'll check in another month or two or something like that. Or if you want me to do a video sooner, let me know. Essentially, the main goal with my screen time and my phone usage is to use it for its original purpose, which is to use it as a phone. Phones are supposed to be convenient. They're not supposed to be taking over your life. And so I think I'm going in the right direction. But let me know if you guys have any tips in how to improve your screen time and to better utilize your phone so that you're not dependent or addicted to it. Let me know in the comments down below. And also definitely check out my other video about my screen time and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.